Hey, heathens. I got a pretty interesting video response from a guy who goes by Faith and Practice. I'll post the link over here for the video. It's a response to my video asking for proof of creationism. It's basically a two-parter in one video. The first half of his video, he goes into why you're not going to get proof, and then the second half takes a nasty little turn. But I'm going to respond to some of the points and stuff that he makes, and we'll see. And I'm going to have a question for you guys when it's all over. So here we go. Now, John starts off by identifying himself as a theist and a Christian, and then he goes into point out, and he says, I don't know if this is relevant. It's not. He says he used to be an evolutionist. I don't know what an evolutionist is. There are people who support biology and who accept the theories that are professed by it. I hate saying evolutionist, but I understand what you're trying to say. You used to think evolution was true, right? Let's get down to the rest of it. Now, from there, John goes on to drop the bombshell to his fellow Christians and fellow creationists, which he emphasizes that he agrees with, that creationism is not in the realm of science. Bravo. Of course, we all knew that, but I can certainly appreciate someone who understands that argument that we've made to all those guys. So certainly, I appreciate the backing there. So that's something that we can agree on. John then backs up his claim by explaining that the scientific method requires observation and experimentation. Leaves out a few of the other key elements, like testing of a hypothesis, which is part of the experimentation, but the formulation of hypothesis, reaching a conclusion, publishing those findings, and allowing peer review to then try and discredit those. But yeah, okay, observation and experimentation. Cool with it. And we understand and agree that you could not observe creation because no one was around at that point that is alive today. And you can't experiment on it because we aren't God, so we can't do it again ourselves. And God's not doing pointing tricks for us to show us how he did it. He's not recreating anything at all, ever. So we can't see that either. So yep, absolutely. Again, I cannot emphasize how much I appreciate you backing us up on that one. Okay, and then after that he turns on and says, now it's his turn to upset some of the evolutionists. John, I hate to break this to you, but you're not going to upset the evolutionists, because we know that creationists don't buy into it, and the things you said. You're not going to upset us with it. We're going to think that you're, ignorant. I don't think you're dumb. You seem like a reasonable guy. You seem like a nice fellow. I don't know, but I think you're ignorant to some of the things, and that's why you changed your mind, because you didn't know some of the other stuff. But again, I don't like the word evolutionist. What you're saying is, I'm going to upset the biologists now because I'm not a biologist, and I think I know more than they do. You're not going to upset anybody, just so you know. So let's get to this upsetting news of yours. So the big news is that evolution is outside of the realm of anything that is observable or experimental. Wrong, John. We have observed evolution. There's been multiple documented cases of observed evolution. We know that it happens all around us today. People ask themselves, why aren't things still evolving? They are. It gets documented all the time. Just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. Okay, so it is still going on. We are observing it. We have seen it. Multiple documented cases. Every year, new species are found that have evolved from other species. Is it testable? Can we test this through experimentation? Yes. We can use genetics. We can use the fossil record. We can use all kinds of different things to determine if what we have is correct. We can, we have done it ourselves. We bred dogs using the same basic principles of natural selection and putting it into breeding selection. So yeah, we've experimented with it and it works. We use this same experimentation in order to create the flu virus that people get every single year. Yeah, we've experimented with it and it works. Every time. Fully observable. Fully testable through experimentation. To deny the information is, again, it's just plain ignorance. You just don't understand the thing. I ask you, John, do you know why the second chromosome is so important in proving, backing up strongly the evolutionary findings? The second chromosome is so crucial. Do you know? Don't go look it up right now. Do you know? If the answer is no, and you don't know what I'm talking about, then you don't understand evolution to the extent that, even I don't know. I don't remember it in my high school, but I know I learned about it in college. So an entry-level biology class in college would get you this information. What about ERVs? Retroviruses. I mean, that this stuff is solid evidence that is observable. It is testable. We have turned on genes that are in birds to allow them to grow teeth. Why would a bird grow teeth? It's because of the retrovirus had got in there and switched that off. And its ancestors, it's where it descended from, had them before, which backs up the prediction that birds evolved from dinosaurs. Okay? I'm sorry, you just don't know these things. But that's okay. Not everyone can be an expert on everything, right? Let's finish up what you got here. John, you move on to talk about spontaneous generation. Huh? What are you talking about? The spontaneous, is that when God made animals out of the mud? Is that spontaneous generation? Are we back to talking about creationism? The comment seemed out of place. I'm not sure what you're getting at there. John then goes to read a quote from someone who agrees with this point. And John, I hate to break this to you, but someone agreeing with you does not prove anything. It just means that they have the same wrong, faulty logic that you do. He's not in my version of Origin of Species, so I don't know what to tell you about that part. Someone else may be more familiar with who he is, what he is, all that. I personally don't care because he's wrong. And not to mention the fact that so much has come to light since 1970 that wasn't around back then, that if that same guy re-looked and revisited that same quote, he may have to re-word his statements. All right, and John wraps up with a quick quote mine of me, where I discuss the fact that you can't do millions of years of experimentation in a lab in one human lifetime, and that evolution does not speak on the origin of life. That's because that's not evolution, that's abiogenesis, which my last video was about. With the recent findings there on top of everything else that's going along, your gap is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So you can run and hide underneath that quote mine if you like, but sorry. And he wraps up going back to his spontaneous generation. I think what you're trying to say, John, is that life poofing into existence again, like your Bible claims it did. That's not what happened. Okay, no one is claiming that it was just like it was a bunch of rocks and some water, and then there was a plant. That's no, it's not how it works. Or even there was a cell. No, it happened. Took some time. Some things happened. And, proteins formed, and then they started organizing. And this is a process, and nothing spontaneously did anything. But again, I understand why you don't agree with evolution, because you don't understand it, and that's fine. Look it up if you like to get more information about it and understand it a little bit more clearly. So anyway, there's a response. I told you I'd do you one. There's one. So now to all of my subscribers, I ask you, is the admission that creationism is not science halo worthy? Is the first part of his video where he discusses and admits that it is not something that is in the realm of science, is that worthy of getting that recognition? Or is that wiped out by the fact that he went on to try and make the same suggestion towards evolution despite the immense amount of evidence against him? I'm trying to decide for myself. Don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.